Morning, Toastmaster.
Morning, Vietnam.
This exhilarating morning, I will be speaking on the topic of variable change, which is one of many constants. I will be sharing with you how to adjust to variable change in a Switzerland manner, quote, being neutral, unquote, and respond or react to variable change while maintaining your inner being of tranquility. Inner being of tranquility is a state of being, resolved and neutral and grounded and empathetic, not being driven by logistics or emotion to curb or confirm your response or reaction. Complete understanding of acceptance, detachment, and gratitude. What is variable change, you may ask? Per my definition, side note, all words are made up, so I don't feel why I can't make up my own definition. I follow common understanding. Variable change is when compound interests contribute to an outcome that you weren't prepared for. Spaces like we may experience this occupationally, social gatherings, celebrations or breaks, time constraints, or flexibility, and day-to-day life experiences. By your choice of confirming gesture, please show me how many of you have encountered variable changes that activated or triggered your fight, flight, or freeze response, even for just a split second. Thank you. At least one, if not a few of you, did go into one of those responses in this very moment. There were variables that went through your muscle memory, thought process, emotional process to respond or react when I changed the participation narrative to your choice of confirming gesture. Quote me if I'm wrong, but I am guessing at least one of you thought to raise your hand or nod in concurrence, as most. Some variables being, how do I respond to this question? Do I need to participate or do I take pause to soak in what was just asked of me? What verbal cue or experience in my life has trained my muscles to respond or react in such way? I was at the DMV registering my car from Texas to Colorado. As I was waiting in line, a disgruntled customer at one of the counters was yelling at the attendant, and commotion started among the bystanders. I didn't turn my head to observe what was occurring. I thought this was a moment of opportunity for growth, for me to practice being resolved and neutral, sewing new cloth for another coat of resiliency. Not that I wasn't empathetic to the situation and the attendant being yelled at, because I'm guessing the customer didn't have the right documents to proceed with receiving what they needed to get their vehicle registered. Variable change occurred for this customer. They came in expecting to get in and get out and get on with their day. Potential. A security officer attempted to escort the tempered customer out, also ensuring they left the premises completely. In doing so, the customer hit the security officer with their car and drove off in the parking lot. Inside, many of the onlookers gasped, spoke among one another regarding the situation in disbelief or concern or emotional response. I stood silently, still maintaining my peace. How do we go about or responding or reacting to in a Switzerland way? It comes to choice. Can you take a pause in a moment? Can you take a breath? Everybody, let's take a breath. Big party. Center and accept what you are not in control of. Reflect. How is my response or my reaction going to impact my inner tranquility, purpose, or being? How does this impact the person or situation in a resolved manner? Do I need to say something or just be present to support the situation or people involved? These are a few questions that may arise. The same questions may not apply across the board, even though a similar situation. Detachment. Can I remove myself from having bias or projecting past experience onto the situation? Do I keep running around the same track, or do I get off and find a new path? Can I accept the experiences and release what doesn't serve me purpose? Lastly, gratitude. As I've integrated gratitude in my moment-to-moment experiences, I have found it has served me into a way of expansion and happiness. The vibrations of feeling positive reinforcement are serving me well, rippling into work, personal relationships, and the relationship I have with myself. Whether the situation influenced you to be from anger and grief, confusion, sadness, or contentment, there's always a silver lining. Are you thankful for the situation? Maybe not right at this moment, but at some point of your healing process. Do you consider the exhilarating variables and adjust accordingly where it is not disturbing your inner being or something you can shelve to work with, reframing your responses in a space of resolve? Back to you, Jim.
Thank you, Natalia. If you will take a moment and write some feedback for her, pass notes. If you're online, you want to put it in the chat so we can get her some encouragement. How many of you guys have ever heard of David Goggins? Yeah? Who's got the votes? There's nobody else who's been in special forces and been in all the branches, top elite, Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, Air Force, I forget what they call it in Air Force out of the helicopter, but this is one of those only guys. He was 300 pounds. He went to a recruiter. He said, "You're black and you're fat. You will never be a Navy SEAL." There's only been 22 Navy SEALs have been black since we started. Like, you won't make it. You're fat, and you're not going to be able to do it. And when you listen to the stories, if you read his book, You Can't Hurt Me, it's a powerful, powerful book. One of the things he talks about is actually watching the movie Rocky, the first one. And in round 14, it's a scene that he played 100 times. There's a 2-minute and 13-second song in that fight. And he listened to it for 17 hours straight. 2 minutes, 13 seconds, repeat. 2 minutes, 13 seconds, repeat. As he watched the scene. And the scene is Rocky's getting beat up. He's getting beat up by his opponent, but he steals his soul. And you'll later, that's a word that he uses when he wants to take the people who are trying to push him, like, you can't hurt me. But he sees him go against Carl Weathers, and his face, he's beat up, but